Welcome to the Love Kanika podcast. My name is Kanika,
My name is Vanita.
and we are back for another show. Vanita, so I
Yes.
didn't realize until yesterday, I got a memory on Facebook yesterday that
Mhm.
said we started the show 4 years ago yesterday.
That's good. So we've been saying it's been about 2 years.
The
It's been about a
whole
year
time.
forever.
I was like, oh, I missed a couple of years. That's crazy.
Most
4 years.
definitely, clearly,
Yeah.
we did
It
miss some
seemed,
years.
it seemed like it went by so fast.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like four. Now, I would have said about maybe 2.5, but not four.
Four, which is wild to me. But anyway, welcome everybody. Thank you for tuning in to our show, which we do every Wednesday around 6:30, usually 6 o'clock, because we don't
Six
have a
o'clock.
panel show.
Yes.
So if you don't mind subscribing to our channel, because it's kind of new, kind of new. We're still trying to grow the channel and the podcast. I would appreciate it. And also hit the notification bell because we do pop-up shows every now and then. So you'll be notified so you can come join us. We would love your participation and feedback on any shows that we may just pop up and do. Sometimes we do them on Sundays if we uh ain't trying to sleep all damn day.
Exactly.
We'll plan. Okay, so we're gonna do a show, gonna do a pop-up show on Sunday, and then be in a damn bed and can't get out. But then no,
Yeah.
we're gonna do the
I ain't
show.
feel like it. Yeah. I ain't feel like it. Like, hold on.
Crazy town, girl, crazy town. But anyway, guys, again, welcome. We're gonna jump right in today. How are you doing, Vanita?
I'm a little tired, but I'm good.
Good, good.
Yeah,
How was your week? Work week? We halfway through.
that is true. It has been busy. A lot of projects, a lot of changing, moving around, a lot of stuff shifting.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely work
How's
life.
yours? How's
It's
work over
good.
there?
Same
Okay.
old tickets and drama, same old
Gotcha.
shit.
Gotcha.
So today, everybody, we're going to talk about um, rich men or just men. It doesn't have to be rich, but men who women would consider the top of the line type of
Hmm.
men, the men that most women would want to choose them. And we're going to have an honest conversation about these men. And I wanted to talk about this is because I'm sure if you haven't been living under a rock and you're on social media, which most people are at this juncture in the road, you've seen the dating show that Kendra G, I think her job is a radio host, but she does this online dating show called the Kendra G Show where she brings people up and they can introduce themselves, tell everybody, the audience, what they're looking for, and then all these people contact them via their social media pages. Um, so I noticed that there was a going theme amongst the women for quite some time now that I thought was so interesting, and I want to talk about that. A lot of the women, us, we come on to the show and we have these outrageous, outrageous salary and financial requirements for men. Like today, I saw a woman who she was a divorced mom, divorced with 4 kids, and one of her requirements to even send her a message to take her out was the man had to make $250,000 a year.
With 4
4 kids,
kids? Four,
four
one,
kids,
two, three, four.
all in the house,
I was about to say, what age are we talking?
all in the house.
Oh,
$250,000. And I thought to myself, now let me back up because there's nothing wrong with, and that's really what I want to talk about, because there's nothing wrong with desiring a man or a mate who is financially stable. I think women should desire a man who's financially stable, because a lot of times with men, their pockets are tied directly to their ego and how they feel about themselves. So when a man doesn't have any money, it affects not only how he feels about himself, but it also affects the way he's going to maneuver through the relationship. Unfortunately, that's why it's important for men to, at least be, stable for themselves. However, to believe that you're going to find a man who makes that kind of money is a little bit delusional. And not because I don't feel like every woman deserves that kind of man. I do feel like that. The problem is the numbers aren't adding up to what we're requiring or wanting, ladies.
It's not realistic.
It's just not realistic. And it's not realistic. And I'm gonna just give you an overview of how unrealistic this really is. Only about 17% of all men of any race across the board, only 17% of men make over $100,000 of any race, black, white, blah, 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 blah. If we take that down to race, and I'm going to say black because we're black, and most women want a black man to mate and be with, you're at about 12% of men. Take a pie. We'll take a pie, like a pie.
Mm-hmm. A
You do a
circle
pie
with the
chart, a
lines.
circle,
Yeah, pie chart. Mm-hmm.
and you carve out 12% of
That's
that
a
pie
small
chart.
slice of that wonderful apple, sweet potato, whatever pie you want to choose. That's a small slice of that
It's
pie.
a very small slice of that pie, which makes what we're asking for unrealistic because the numbers don't add up, right? What are the odds statistically that of the 12, take away the fact that these 12% that do make $100,000 probably already got somebody. So take the ones out who already got somebody, because they're that
Already got
it's not
somebody.
single men. It's not single men. It's black men that's married, single, divorced, all of that. So take out the percentage of those men who are already married, which is going to be a huge percent because most women want to marry those kind of men. So take those out of the game. I'm just gonna say you leave just for shits and
And
giggles.
then what? No, you because we in the day and age where LGBTQ community exists as well.
You got to take
So
out
you want to
those
take
men.
that out?
You got to take
Those
out
you
those
want to
men
take it?
who, you
Exactly.
know, who aren't heterosexual. So now you're left
Exactly.
with what? I'll just for shits and giggles. I'll say 8%. 8% of males for, let's say, 80% of women. Right? That's what you're
Mm-hmm.
up against. You're desiring for the 8% of men that's left to pick you out of the 80% of women he has to choose from. What are the odds that he would choose you? Right? I'm not saying, again, that you're not worthy of that or you shouldn't even desire that. I think, Eric, we all have a dream list of what we would want, in a
Most definitely.
mate. But the reality is we have to look at if and this is the caveat, and let me say this before I go any further. There's a caveat to this. You can keep your standard at 100 G's as a non-negotiable for a man you want to be with,
You definitely
but
can.
make sure you're okay with being single. That's all I say. If you're gonna keep that high of a standard, for men, for what they salary should be, make sure you're okay with being single because the odds are stacked against you. It's almost like winning the lottery because the majority of men, period, of any race, do not make $100,000. They just don't. So we need to look at this and figure out, are we okay with being single, or can we bring these requirements down? Yeah, financial requirements down a bit to where you have a better chance of finding a mate that may not make $100,000, but he might make 55 and he might be a good man to you, right? Because honestly, and I tell you, because I know at least 5 right off the top of my head that do make that, those men are something else. See, that's the part that women don't know. It sounds good in the by and by, right? It sounds good. Oh, I want a man to make all this money and I want me a rich dude, da 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 da. But the question is, let's just say you were to get him. Let's say you were to be able to attract him with your looks, because that's usually what those type of men are going to see first is your looks. They want you to look in kind of way. That is a fact. We're going to come back to that. But let's just say you were able to attract him. Are you confident enough within yourself as a woman to stand beside him? Because mind you now, you're with a man that the majority of women in the world want to date. So are you going to be confident enough to stand in that position and not be insecure? That's the part that we as women we don't like to ask ourselves, talk about, or maybe not even know to talk about. Because I can remember I was 24 years old, and I talked about what I'm about to say. I talked about in depth on the I Have a Twin Flame show. If you get a chance, go back and listen to it. I feel like one of our best podcasts. But I talked about being 24 and having met this guy that he wasn't rich, but he had like all the bells and whistles that I thought were like the shit. She laughing because she know this story. She know who I'm talking about. I met this guy. Let me tell y'all, he was so dreamy to me. He was dreamy, y'all. Like he was tall, like 6'2". He went to like he graduated from a prestigious college. He was an ex-football player. He had all the bells and whistles. He was 27. I was 24. Okay. And I remember really wanting to be with him, like bad. Like I wanted to be his girlfriend so bad. But inside, and I was conscious of it. That's the crazy thing. I was conscious of the fact that I didn't feel good enough for him. Like I felt like I didn't measure up because I didn't go to like a prestigious college. Like his parents were still together. They were like college professors, shit like that. My mama and daddy can't stand each other. They have been broke up for years.
Seriously, you was polar opposite.
Yeah.
Opposite experience.
Polar opposite. I come from a fractured parent. I didn't come from no 2-parent home. He was there for a while, but they eventually broke up. His parents were still together. At the time or whatever. One they stayed together till one of them unfortunately passed away. But I looked at all of those things and I felt like I don't measure up. Like, I'm not good enough. And let me tell y'all how deep this was. I thought to myself, well, maybe I should go to a certain college and go back to college. I was trying to
So it
figure
was motivating you to go to college or try to quote unquote better yourself, if
I'll
you
get some
will.
accolades. I feel like I need
Yeah, there
to.
you go.
I felt like I needed to somehow, some way, go get some accolades and some titles. It's so crazy now that when I say it, I felt like if I went and got a certain title or a job title or a certain accolade, then he would see me as worthy enough. Because I put him on like a pedestal. I put him on a pedestal not because I just thought he was this great guy. I mean, he was a bad guy, but I put him on a pedestal because of the things, because of the titles, because of his looks. Catch that tea. Right? But what ended up happening is, to make a long story short, because I didn't feel worthy of him, he saw me in the same light of unworthiness because that's how I was presenting myself, right?
Yeah.
That's the vibration I was on at the moment. So whatever I was feeling inside was creating my reality on the outside, but I didn't know it was creating my reality on the outside. I just felt like I wanted to be with him and he should want to be with me, irregardless, but that wasn't the case. It wasn't until God, let me tell y'all, honestly, when that man eventually he just was like, okay, because I was doing things, my insecurity was driving me to do things that were a little bit. I can see why he felt the need to break things off with me, because I was doing things like I would pop up at his job, shit like that, like disrespectful, scary shit. Like I would drive by his house because I moved to his neighborhood, y'all. I moved to his neighborhood and tried to pretend like that
wasn't the
ain't what
case.
I would do. Because I wanted him so bad. Y'all don't understand. I moved to his neighborhood, but I would do stuff like pop up at his job because at the time he worked at a car dealership. I would pop up at his job, just do stuff like that. So eventually he got tired of that type of shit, that I was doing. And he came to my house and he was just to my face, and I respect him to this day. The trillest shit anybody ever said to me, to my face. He knocked on the door, came in, he got off work, came over my house, and he said, "This is over. Me and you, done. I'm not going to call you. Don't call me. Don't pop up at my job. It's done." Oh my God. Y'all couldn't have told me that I wasn't going to be buried somewhere that day. I thought my life was over. I could not believe it. I was just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And I was crying and I was so sad and so depressed. I remember getting up one day, going into the bathroom and trying to do my hair. And I remember just looking in the mirror with the curling iron, and tears just started to well down in my face. And I remember asking God, I just remember this so clearly. I said, what is it about me that I'm just not good enough? Now, let me back up just a little bit. Before him, there was another guy that I dated. Now, I'm 24, so this was some years ago. This was like 22 years ago or some shit like that. But I'm referencing this because this is where it became, God brought it to my awareness that I had an unworthiness issue. There was a guy before that I dated. To make a long story short, he ended up moving to another state with a girl he dated in college and didn't even tell me. So I went from that happening, which was devastating, to meeting this guy, which I thought I had the most beautiful connection with, and I did. Um, to him also abandoning me. So I'm looking in the mirror thinking to myself, God, like, what is it about me that men are leaving? Like, they're not staying. And God started showing me so clearly. And I'm so grateful for them, both of them, because they don't understand. Their leaving catapulted me onto a spiritual journey that I would do it all over again to sit in this space, because what it did was God began to show me that you can't have what you don't think you deserve. We got to work on them insides, my dear. It's not about how you look. It's not about what you got. It's not about what college you went to. It's about how you feel about yourself. So you telling me, my child, you're expecting these men to see you in a way that you don't even see yourself. You don't even think you're deserving of them. So how can I grant you the gift of any of them when you don't even feel like you should be good enough for them? Like you should be worthy to stand beside them. And I remember sitting in the bathtub just crying. I might just start, because I didn't know the unworthiness inside of me was that deep. I didn't know it was that deep. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, like I feel that way about myself. Because now, mind you, my ego had told me I was just fine and fine, right? Like looks fine.
Mm-hmm.
So why, would I think, at 24 that I don't feel good about myself? Like, but I didn't. And it started me on a journey. It started me on a healing journey. And what I found on this journey is that I had an abandonment wound from my biological father that had went unhealed for quite some time, unaddressed, for quite some time. I know the perception of me thinking, well, if my dad didn't want me, if my dad wasn't in my life or he didn't want to be around, then why would other men want to stay around and be around too? Now, this was a unconscious thought. I didn't consciously think this. I wasn't going around thinking this, but it was an unconscious thought that I was unaware of, that was rooted inside of me, that was creating all the situations that, that I was in. It was where I was vibrating at the moment. So what I've learned over the years from that is that you get what you believe you deserve. Wherever you're vibrating, that's what you're going to attract. So if you're vibrating on a frequency that you don't feel good enough because of several different things, and Vanita and I will talk about this in a second. It's a lot of things that's in the matrix or the society that kind of makes us feel like, we're not worthy and not good enough. But a lot of it does start with childhood. A lot of it starts with what happened or didn't happen to us when we were little, right? And I came from a very loving family. Like the core of my family is very loving, thank God. And I had a very loving grandmother and mother, because I don't know how it would have turned out if I had the daddy abandonment wound and then I didn't have the family that I have. I don't know what would have happened, or where I would be, right now. So thank God for that. But um V also, she talks about, dealing with unworthiness. V, when did you realize consciously that you were dealing with an unworthiness issue?
Mm, I, I wouldn't say that I knew it was unworthiness. I felt like something was wrong and I didn't understand what was wrong. So as an adult, the first time I think I realized it, my daughter was probably 3 months in. I had a connection with the guy, and it just, uh, I couldn't. I wanted him bad, and I didn't understand why I wanted him bad because I never focused on guys like that. And I was like, but yet he's running away. And I blamed it on because I did, again, my daughter was 3 months old. So I did have a child. So I felt like it was possibly that. But then even at looking at that and analyzing it, I was like, it something else. This got to be more than that. And I don't understand what it is. So I would say that's the first time that it really came to me as an adult. Now, as a child, I want to say probably about 10, 10 years old is when I felt like um, I was unworthy, unwanted, disliked, and I didn't understand why. And that was based off of me. Again, if you guys have heard some of our past episodes, I wasn't raised by my mom or dad. I was raised by my great aunt. So I left my mom at the age of 8, and I didn't go back to see her until I was 10. And when I went back to see her as 10, I was informed that I had to go back to LA, like I had to go back to my great aunt after the summer. And at that point, I remember thinking to myself, why doesn't she want to keep me? So I would have to say back then, not really knowing what that meant, but going back, looking at it now, I didn't understand then why you wouldn't want to keep me. Why do you keep sending me out here?
Yeah.
So for me, that's when it was, I felt unworthy. So then from then on, I feel like from 10 all the way up, I always felt like I was less than for the most part.
And it manifests as adults. Usually it manifests in our romantic relate, and sometimes even in friendships, but a lot of
Yeah.
times it manifests in your romantic relationship. And we're saying this to say that in order to, ladies, in order to attract the best option, unless you're okay with being single, because there's nothing wrong with being single. Nothing. I enjoy my single life. So there's nothing wrong with being single. But if you honestly want to get married and that's your goal, you're going to have to work on yourself. Men don't have to take us how we are. Just like we don't have to take them how they are. Like you don't have to, if you don't want to, date a man who make $45,000 a year. If that's not what you want to do, they don't have to take us old with a bunch of kids. They don't have to take us fat. And I'm naming all of these things that men like they look at when they're looking for a mate. Men are visual primarily.
Yeah, that's true. And
Men are
that's true
visual.
all the way going back. If you guys think about it, and I'm speaking actually from my own personal experience coming up, I was a I'm not gonna say fat, but I was a chunky child, and I wasn't in the South. I may have been more accepted a little bit more it be, if I was in the South, but I was on the West Coast, and everybody knows on the West Coast they look for you to be thin, small, all that type of stuff. So for me, I felt like I wasn't wanted or liked when I was in school, and that was in middle school, high school. I was always thick. I didn't become thin or lose weight or get a look that I was looking for until I became an adult. So it starts early on, early on, like way early on this looks thing. And the guys, I mean, we all know it. The guys usually go towards the cheerleaders and the, you know, the cute thin preppy chick, what as they call them, the popular girls, which the popular girls were usually thin and fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it starts way back, and it continues on into adulthood. They don't see anything but a look. Period.
That is
They
a
don't,
fact.
even back then.
That is a fact. Hey, you. It's been a long time. Look who popped up in the chat.
Okay. Oh, hey! Orange
Good to
Peel,
see you back out there. I saw you. I think I saw you.
Or the Orange
The
Peel.
Orange Peel. I saw you on Themus's show one time. They was on you. They was on you. But thank you for checking in with us again. It's important which is why it's important for us women to really be grounded in who we are and in our self-worth, because the world, it is not easy. It is not easy.
It's just not.
To not have a certain look as a woman when the world is judging women a lot of time based on our looks.
Exactly.
I'm not going to sit up here and lie to y'all. I'm not about to. It is not easy to go through life as a woman and not feel like you're attractive. It is not easy. Even when you're the best, you got the best heart, you're the sweetest, you might even be the smartest. You might have the best job or this and that, but men are visual, love.
They don't see nothing but your look. Period. Point blank.
It is.
It's unfortunate, actually, to me. It's a lot for women to battle through, because although men tend to say it's super easy to lose, they speaking from their body. They're not speaking from these hormones and the fact that we can hold a kid and whatever God has put in us in order to be able to do that. Like, those things play a part on whether or not you have weight. So men don't understand that. They feel like, and then their weight can go off quick. So they can hop in the gym and within a month, they didn't drop 20 and they back at it. They don't understand the plight on our side. And frankly, they don't give a shit. They just want what they want.
Yeah, they're not with the excuses. Okay.
No, they just want what they want when it comes to that. So it's hard. My heart actually goes out to all women and myself, all of us.
All of us. And we're talking about this. Go back to the topic of the show. Men who are financially stable, they're going to have some standards on these looks.
They are.
It's very few men who have money that are going to take you overweight. It's just not. It's just, if you weren't with him before he got that money, married to him before he got that money, the chances are very slim that that a man who makes $100,000 a year, who has access to hundreds, maybe thousands of women with the invention of the internet now, women all over the world. Why would he pick someone that he's not saying all men don't find us who are overweight or dealing with weight issues physically attractive, but usually men with money are going to require you to be slim. That's the truth. A lot of people didn't like Kevin Samuels because he was an asshole. God rest his soul. But a lot of what he said on that show was the truth when it comes to dating. It was harsh, it was ugly, but it was the truth. Men with money are going to have standards that you are going to have to meet. Definitely physically. Which is why if we're requesting that men have all this money before we can date them, then we need to match what we asking for. You need to be that girl. If you're going to ask for that dude, if you're going to say, hey, pick me, I'm that girl, $100,000 a year man, then you need to be able to stand beside him and being your best self. And to become your best self, you got to work on yourself inside and out. And working on yourself consists of what me and Vanita talked about, looking at the core of where your unworthiness came from, where your insecurities came from. I know so many women with all these goddamn fears, all these insecurities, all of this shit that has went unaddressed, but don't understand why there's no men around, that why they're not getting chosen to be in these relationships, because you got too much shit that has that's internal, that has went unaddressed. Even if you got the look, even if you got the body, you still have to address the shit that we be going through as women internally, because it be a lot of shit, lots of fears and insecurities and low self-esteem. And then we expect men to just look over that, pick me, deal with that. No, that ain't how it go. You got to vibrate on the wavelength of the person you're trying to attract. That's true. That's just how the universe works. So I'm saying this to say, to get your best option, ladies, to be able to attract your best options, or stack the odds in your favor, you would need to work on yourself. We need to work on ourselves. I'm constantly trying to work on myself in some way, shape, or form. In some way. In some way. And that's also expanding your mind. We spend a lot of time on social media. You know, so many books that you can listen to, audio books that will change your life, because it changes the way you see things, your perspective, and your mindset a lot of times. Mm-hmm. These are things that help you with evolution and growth. Sitting on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube all day ain't helping you get to where you want to be and get to who you're trying to attract. We complain about men all day, every day. They didn't do this, they did that, they didn't do this. But what about you? It's time for us to turn the mirror back on ourselves and become the best versions of ourselves.
Because you can't control nobody but yourself.
You can't control nobody but yourself. So put yourself in the best position. You might not, again, numbers alone, I wish every woman could have $100,000 a year man, but you might not be able to attract him because of the numbers, but you might be able to attract a really good man who makes 65 or 60 or whatever. And with your salary and his salary, you can have a good life, but become the best version of yourself. Because even though, listen, men in general are running the dating game. Men are running this shit. I'm telling y'all right now, this is about to hurt, so buckle up. Men understand that y'all want a relationship, ladies, more than you want anything in the world. They know this.
They do know that.
They know this because that's all y'all do is run behind relationships to try to be in love. I know that's all I've seen us do since I was a little girl, is run behind men and trying to be in relationships. They're taking advantage of the position that we put them in. How can we be mad at that? I said it on several shows in the past. Whoever wants it the least runs it. They win. Whoever wants a thing the least is going to control it. Right? That's why men are able to control a dating game, because they don't give a shit about none of this. They want money, power, and pussy. All this love and being in there. Look, they'll do it, but it ain't that deep for them. We want that. So they're the ones who are in control because they want it least. You the one want the relationship, so you need to be what you want. You need to be what his standard for you is, because you want it. He can take it or leave it. That's on us. We put ourselves in this position, being so thirsty for relationships. So now that we done put ourselves in the position, you got two choices. Make yourself be marketable in the dating world That means getting yourself together, mental, spiritually, and physically. Definitely physically, because they're gonna see that. They're gonna judge
They see
that
that
over
before they see
anything.
anything.
They're
Yeah,
gonna judge that. Man, you can't even get in the door a lot of times
that's
if you don't look a
facts.
certain kind of way with men.
That's facts. You just not.
So the choices are, ladies, pull yourself together and start dealing with your trauma, the fears, the insecurities, the low self-esteem, all this shit we've been dealing with, I was dealing with, still working on.
Same here.
Healing and growing is a lifetime thing.
Yeah, it is.
I'm
With
constantly
forever.
trying to peel back layers and check myself, right?
Yep.
Or you have another option. If you don't want to do no self-work, you can stay your ass single. Because see, men got tons of options. Tons of options. And unfortunately, we as women, the choices that we make a lot of times, usually early on in life, it's really not our fault, because when you're young, you're just trying to be in love. You're just trying to create a family. You don't understand the dynamics of how the matrix really works. So you've been told all your life that, oh, you get older, you graduate, you create a family, you start a family, but you don't know it's deeper than that. You didn't just go create a family. Life happens, things happen, relationships break up, things happen. You're not thinking that. You're just trying to be in love. So a lot of the decisions we made as young women has affected where we are in our 40s and 50s now. You can't take that back.
It has. Yeah. You
It
have to
has.
figure out how to move forward and be okay. And that's not the easiest thing either. All you could do is day by day and consciously forgive yourself for the choices that you have made.
Period. Period. Orange Pill says you're on to something, Kanique. Me and my wife dated when I was just a medical tech, and then I became a nurse and made close to six figures. We grew together. She was with me when I was broke. I mean, absolutely. Listen, it just ain't enough viable men that make that money for all of us to. And again, unless you're okay with being single. Because if you're not okay with being single and you really want to have a mate in this lifetime, you're going to have to look at these requirements and become a little bit more realistic on what you up against.
Mhm.
Because it's a numbers thing.
It
Numbers don't
is.
lie. Even if we want it, the numbers say, I don't know.
Exactly. It does.
But that don't mean you can't become the healthiest, best version of yourself, then to be able to attract a good dude. And y'all can have a good life together. Right? You can start businesses together and do these things if you can get to 100, several things, particularly with the invention of the internet. Y'all can get together and maybe build together. And I'm not saying except a man who won't work. I'm not saying that. He got to be able to take care of himself. He's taking care of himself at least.
Hmm.
But 100,000 or more and all of these things, it's just not realistic, ladies. But again, if that's a non-negotiable, because who am I to tell you what you should want and what your requirement should be? Just know that you might end up single just because of the numbers. And again, there's nothing wrong with being single. I have enjoyed my single life, trust me, to the fullest. There's nothing wrong with being single. But those men, all these men we keep saying we want, they got a choice too. And
They
we have
do.
to take an honest assessment of ourselves and ask ourselves, would that man choose us? Would that man choose me? I ask myself, would $100,000 man choose me? I don't know. Let me work on myself to try to get to a viable point. Not for him,
Exactly.
just because I want to be the best version of myself, but I would honestly want to attract, the best mate that I can possibly attract. That means I need to
Real
be the
talk.
best Kanique that I can attract, that I can be. I can't expect a man to take me any old kind of a way. For what? He got choices too. Vanita and I
Yep.
talk about this all the time. as we have battled, and we did a show on this, we up and down weight issues. We battled weight issues.
I constantly stay in a battle of weight, and I know I have resolved to, and I've said this sometimes before, maybe to Kanique, maybe not to you guys, but working out will be for the rest of my life until I'm not able to do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just
It's
is,
it's
because
real.
I know what it is to be back there with the weight on,
How
from a
did how,
kid all the way up.
how did that for you the weight made you feel like what?
Like I wasn't seen, like I wasn't wanted.
That's how it feels.
Yeah, like you're not seen, like you're not wanted, like you're being looked over for everybody else.
Yeah.
And of course, I used to say things to myself like, but I'm nice and I'm sweet and I'm the cool chick, but why do they always want me as the homie and not something more than that?
Yeah.
It's hurtful, and it tears down your self-esteem big time.
It does.
And everybody responds to it differently. For me, I became reclusive. Like I stayed to myself a lot of times. You know, nobody, definitely in school, want to, because kids are mean. We all know
Yes.
that, especially in middle school.
Yes.
So being called the fat girl or the this or that, even though you're trying to be cool and nice to everybody, and they're going off your looks, from the men to the women, from the boys to the girls. Everybody was.
Even the girls be harsh. Even in school, like the girls want to,
Girl,
the girls even want to be friends with the skinnier, prettier girls.
they
Everybody's
do.
judging you.
They do. They do.
Everybody is
Everybody
judging
is
you.
judging you,
Yeah.
because society said that you're supposed to be skinny and small and this and that. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're extremely cruel.
Yeah.
And when, if you guys think about it, I'm 47 years old. So my generation, if you think about when we was in school, how many overweight young ladies did y'all know in school?
I didn't know many.
That's what I'm saying. It's usually very few, because at that age, you're usually small.
You are. Yeah. Yeah. You are. Yeah. I didn't know many. But I did know the ones I was tall and skinny, like it's called me a giraffe. But the ones
Hmm.
I did know, they had a hard time. They had a harder time. They were, picked on a lot and
Yeah,
teased a lot and ostracized a lot because of the weight.
a whole lot. We have family and friends that have kids that have been ostracized so bad that they had to move them from school to school. That's
Absolutely.
messed up
Yeah.
on such a deep level.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. And it takes as much as much as you might try to say you don't care and this, that, and the other, it's hurtful. It's hurtful as a woman.
It's
We all want
hurtful.
to be
Yeah,
desired. Everybody want to be desired, men and women. But
exactly.
as women, you want to be desired by your male counterparts.
Exactly.
Even
Hmm.
though we, like women, I don't care this and that. Most women do care. It's it's
You
it's
do
it's
care.
normal to want to be desired by your counterpart.
Yeah,
That's
most
normal.
definitely.
Yeah, that's normal. That we got to work on ourselves, particularly in a day and age where it's so many inventions that can help as far as getting our looks together, whether you're decide to go on some sort of program to go to the gym. There are shots now, there's surgery. It's so many things you can do to assist you with getting to where you want to be physically. With the invention of the internet, it's so many websites, YouTube channels, great books that you can read to help elevate your mindset. Definitely
Hmm.
spiritual books. Spiritual
It's
books
a
change.
ton of them.
Books changed my life, y'all. Books
It really
changed
does.
my life. I am so grateful for some of the books that I've read over the years because it changed my mindset. It changed the way I saw things and even saw myself through certain experiences just by reading books.
It's true.
That's why it's important to also feed your mind so you can get your body in shape but still have a fucked up mindset.
No, you definitely can. You definitely
Yeah, you
can.
Yeah, it's a mental, a spiritual, physical, and financial. All of that encompasses getting your life together and being the best version of
Yes,
ourselves.
yes, it does.
It ain't easy. Again, the beautiful thing about life is, and even this situation we're talking about the wanting, men who are more, well off or wealthy and all of those things that we saying that needs to be done to be able to attract these men. You don't have to do a damn thing. You can stay exactly how you are, but if you decide to stay how you are, you get what you get.
That's
That's
true.
how the matrix works. You can stay exactly how you are, but then that's the pool of men that you're going to be subjected to, right? Because mind you, the men with money, they got access to whatever option they want, really. A lot of times, particularly depending on how deep their pockets are, of any race of women, not just black women, any race of women.
Which is why a lot of people say that our black males tend, once they get money, to go to other races.
They do. They do. It's true. They do.
But they subscribe to that look. If you think about it, other races very, very deep. The majority of them, they subscribe to that look, to that
Yeah.
working out, to being slim and thin, and they subscribe to it on a deep level.
Um, I'm real. The orange pill said weight bullying in school got real bad in my. I'm sure it did. It was bad in my generation. It was bad. It was
Yeah,
bad. It's bad
it's
now.
bad.
It's
Yeah,
bad
it's
in
real
this
bad now.
generation.
Yes, it is. It hasn't stopped. It's actually gotten worse, especially because you have Instagram.
Oh,
So it's not
I can't.
helping this generation. They're really, really, they're not just comparing themselves to whoever's in school now. They're comparing themselves to what they see on Instagram. So it's really, really bad now.
It is. I can't imagine. I can't imagine being in school having Instagram. You already feeling some type of way, with the the cliques and shit that go on in school. You have the popular girls and like all of that stuff. So now you have to deal with it's like the world seeing what it that's crazy to me. So I
It
can't
is.
imagine the toll it's taking on the mindsets of these young women.
It's a lot on them
It's
now.
a
It
it's
is
a lot. It's a lot on grown women.
It is because realistically, it doesn't change. When you become an adult, to me, the women still do the same thing. They treat you a particular kind of way if you do have weight on compared to when you don't.
Woo!
They do. They act different towards you. They look at you different. So it's still, even as adults, not just the men, the women do the same thing too.
And we know this because as some of y'all know, Vanita and I within the last year or so lost a significant amount of weight. We both did, right?
Hmm.
And we noticed a change in the way everybody started treating us. Not saying they were treating us bad or anything. Like, it wasn't that they weren't treating us bad, but it was definitely an energetic change that
It
was
was.
shocking a little bit. Like, wow, I guess I was being, and I don't think it was a conscious judgment they had. I think it was subconscious because society deems thinner people as better in a way. They do.
They do, unfortunately.
They do. They do.
Yep.
Yeah, it Ernstfield said I noticed that immediately when I saw. See, Ernstfield even know we lost weight. Yeah,
Exactly.
we lost a significant amount of weight, and it's been a change in the way we've been treated by people. It was actually
Yeah.
kind of sad. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
you feel
It
like I'm
is.
good enough now? Wow, that's crazy. You know, and I wasn't huge or nothing like that, so I can't imagine like what women who are overweight have to
Yeah,
endure.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm sure.
It's a lot.
And unfortunately, men, there's nothing we can whine and cry and do all of these things. It's not going to change the way men feel about
Mm.
wanting us to look a certain kind of way. I wish it was different. I wish men would look through past our bodies and look through our souls, but that's never going to happen. So knowing this
Attraction
information,
is attraction. You guys, you have to look at it to me in the aspect of it's no different than the short guy and the tall man. Listen, the 6 foot and higher guy compared to the 5'6" dude, y'all were gonna look at the 6 foot guy and act like the 5'6" dude don't even exist.
all the time. That's the really
So
good in
it's
it.
the same type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. We usually do flock to the more taller men. We
And that was
usually,
it goes all the way back to school. All
yeah,
the way back in school, you did it in school too, middle school and high school.
yeah,
Ladies did the same thing. They flocked to the taller dudes before they flocked to the shorter dudes.
yep, yeah, yeah. Um, Attraction is it's a thing in the dating world. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Mhm.
Um,
It is.
Orange Peel says, I love it when you lose weight and people say something like, yeah, I was wondering about you because I was wondering about your weight. Like, Dan, Orange, let me tell you. Let me tell you.
Exactly. That's exactly because that's how I
People,
felt with a couple of people. I was like, wait a minute. Why did you switch up? I haven't changed. My personality haven't changed. So what is going on right now?
yeah,
So he's absolutely correct. It's quite shocking. It throws you off.
yeah. People be thinking you on drugs. They be like,
All kind of stuff.
you on
Because I
drugs,
was asked
you
that as
sick.
well. I was asked that as well. I had a young lady say, "Are you taking something?" I was
Yeah,
like, "What do you mean? Are you on drugs or something?" What?
yeah,
No,
yeah,
love.
yeah.
Just
It's
simply
shocking to
changed my
people.
eating habits and worked out. That's it.
And they treat you better. People treat me better.
They do.
People treat me better, y'all. No, no lie. Men
I
and
hate to
women
say it,
treat
but
me
that's
better
true.
now that I'm thin. It's
That's true.
wild.
That's
It's
true.
wild. Men and women treat
It's
me better.
weird. It's like they have more of a respect for
I
you,
was
if
about
you
to
will.
say, I was about to say, people seem more respectful. It's weird. I'm like,
Yes.
wow. So we're saying this, ladies, to say that weight is playing a part in you not being that unless you was with him already. If you single in this day and age in 2024 and your goal is to be married or partner up with my man and you want the best option, you got to get them looks together. You got to work on yourself inside and out,
Mhm.
ladies. We're not
That's true.
exempt from self work. It's not always men all the damn time. A
It's
lot,
not. They don't have to change any of their
they
requirements.
don't. And a lot of us, ladies, and this is just the honest truth. We don't even know who we are. We don't even know who we are
That's
as
true.
women because a lot of us had kids so goddamn young. You've been a mama all your
Yep.
fucking life.
And that's all you know.
That's all you know
That's true.
is being a mama. But who are you outside of motherhood? Who are you outside of being somebody's mama?
Yeah.
That takes work a lot of times when you've been playing this role, this very important role for another human for 20 years. Who are you outside of the role? Because if you don't know, then how's he gonna know?
Exactly.
If you don't know, how's he gonna know? And I
You
haven't,
dictate how he's going to treat you based off of how you treat yourself.
everybody do. Everybody do. And I don't know, Vanita can speak to this because I don't have any children. Everybody know that unless you're new to the show. So I don't know what that's like to have to be in such a significant, important role in another human's life for so long. And how Venita, how do you as your daughter is graduating, about to go to college, how do you transition out of that and find out who Venita is outside of being being Tara's mama?
I don't know. I pray on that every night, and I constantly continue reading books to understand who I am, search myself, have conversations with friends on what their perception is, trying to understand where is my place within me, really.
Yeah,
So it is still a work in progress. We'd have to have that conversation, and I can probably give you a more definitive answer in the next 2 to 3 years or so. But right now, I'm still split between making sure she's on the right path and then also focusing on self. But real talk, I'm a little nervous and scared because it's like I'm used to her being in the house, although she has, once she hit 16, she had her car. So then I was able to pull back and focus on myself more then, these last, 3 years, 2 years. But uh, it's really still hard to say. So I tend to dabble in a little bit of everything. I know definitively I love to travel. I know that definitively. um I just start dabbling into other things to see what I like, what I dislike, who I want to be, how I want to show up. How do I want to feel about myself and what my boundaries are still, because I feel like even over different shows we've talked about women needing to have boundaries, but I feel like as you evolve and move up in your life, your boundaries are going to change. So what does that look like for me, and how do I move in that? So it's a work in progress. It's a
absolutely.
work in progress.
Absolutely. But the beautiful thing is you're consciously on the journey of self-discovery,
Most
right?
definitely. It's imperative to me now because for me, I want to be the best me possible, whatever
Absolutely.
that is. I don't definitively know what that is. Only God really knows what that is.
Yeah.
I just want to be the best me possible. And I want to be happy and feel a lot of light out of it, like feel light within myself, because I felt like I have been not buried, but a lot of bricks on me, which is what I feel like a lot of women feel, but don't really realize it, because when you're taking care of another soul and trying to dictate what's best for them, it's very difficult because you don't know what's going on within their body. So when you're dictating stuff for kids, you're dictating it based off of what you perceive it should be, or how your mom or dad or whomever raised you
Yeah.
um, says it is. But what I do know is that's not always the ideal way to raise them, because whoever raised you is processing out of whatever they perceived. And that may
Yeah.
not have worked for you as a soul. So you have to pull and piece apart what you feel like is good for your child, compared to how you were raised, the day and time that you're currently in when you have your kid, what's going on in the world then. Because our parents wouldn't know what it is to raise a kid in social media world. They don't
Right.
know what the hell that is.
Right. Right.
So us as kids, as adults now, we have to figure out, oh well, this social media thing is here. So how do you navigate that? What's the best age to give your child a phone? What's the what kind of restrictions, should you have on your kid on them seeing this or that?
And all of
Going out
that,
to play, we used to just you, as long as you were somewhere in the vicinity of the neighborhood, your parents didn't care. Be home before the street lights come on. You don't play like that in this day and age. Your
that's a
kid
lot.
needs to
That's
say
a lot of mental focus.
amen, amen.
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, that's essentially what you're saying is that your whole you can't focus on you because you're so plugged into that.
Yes.
That's that again. That's why I'm telling women. A lot of us don't even know who we are because we've been so plugged into particularly Black women, the motherhood role, you haven't had time to figure out who you are outside of that. So then you
Yes.
get into a relationship and you don't really have a solid identity. You're not
Exactly.
grounded in who you are.
Exactly. And because society, well, not society, but humans as a whole, we really like repetition.
We do. It's safe.
So, yes, it's a safe space. And because of that, you're in a repetition with kids. So when they leave and things change is hard for a lot of us.
Yeah.
So now you're trying to, it's almost feeling like you're scrambling or you're lost, or if you will, like a bobblehead. You don't know what do I do now? What move do I make now?
Yeah.
How do I do this? You know what I'm saying? So it's not the easiest feat.
It's not.
So you have to make a conscious decision every day to desire to want more for yourself.
That's the bottom line. In working on yourself and desiring more and becoming the best version of yourself, you have a better chance to attract the kind of man you want. He might not make $100,000 a year, but you can attract a decent dude, one that you can grow with. Again, I'm not saying take a man off his mama couch at this age, but I'm saying the numbers just they're not there, ladies. That's just being honest. So think about that. Think about that when we have these requirements for men that you probably got a better chance to hit the lottery. Because even again, a lot of those men are already married. So what are you gonna do? You can always decide to be single. If you're like, oh no, he got okay, well, and that's the other option. Or that's gonna be it could be the resolve. As long as you're good with that resolve, then don't work on yourself. Stay like you are. But what I do know is men who got some things financially are good, they're gonna require you to look account. They're gonna require you to be the best version, and they're gonna pick the best option as they should. Everybody should pick their best option, men and women. If you can, if he got the 100 women want him, he should pick his best option.
Why
That's just
wouldn't you?
that's just
That
how
would
the
be
cookie
crazy not
crumbles.
to.
So will
Yeah.
you be that girl? Will you be the one he gonna choose?
Again,
That's up to
ladies, it's
you.
no different than a tall man and a short man.
Is your
It's
tall
the same
men?
thing.
But tall men, they got even more options, because they just tall. They stand out wherever they go. You
Exactly.
know, this is why athletes, have so many options because all of them are tall for the most part. They're
Yeah.
big. That's a thing with men. That's one of their pluses. As far as being judged on attractiveness, you're big, you're tall, because we want to feel secure. It's a security thing. That's why we like them big like that. We want to
It
feel like
is.
they can protect us.
Hmm.
you know so all I'm saying is, let's just be a little more conscious of what we're asking for, be a bit more realistic, because it's a little bit delusional just based on the numbers. It ain't even meant, it's just not a lot of them. It's not a lot of that. So you're gonna have to pivot, or the other choice is to be single. Ain't nothing wrong with being single.
Listen.
There's nothing wrong with that. You can have an amazing, beautiful life single. You don't necessarily gotta made up, because someone like, I can't, I'm not gonna do any of that. I'm not gonna work on myself, That's a choice
And
too.
that's a choice. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
choice if that's
completely
what you
understand.
choose.
But I wanted to talk about this because I keep seeing it over and over on Kendra's show. 100,000, 150, 250. I'm like, where do y'all women think? Where y'all gonna get these men from? Where they at? Because every study, census, graph, pie chart, everything I've seen has said they don't exist. So, am I missing something, ladies? Come on now, ladies. We gotta be a bit more realistic in this dating game. Especially if you don't, we know what we look like. We got mirrors. We know what we look like. You
We
look at
most
yourself,
definitely
and there's a range that you in, as far as probably the type of man you can attract. You gotta be honest about that. It ain't nothing wrong with that. Mostly all of us regular. Ain't nothing wrong with being regular, okay?
Yeah.
You can get you a good regular dude and y'all can live happily ever after. It's all good. It's all good. You have anything else, B? We'll go ahead and wrap it up. We at a one over an hour now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Them 11111s. I love them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Angel
no,
numbers.
I don't have anything. I'm good. I think
Okay.
I've said my piece.
Well, thank you all for tuning in as usual. Thank you to We Unlock and Orange Peel, everybody up in the chat. Good to see y'all always show up for us. Again, we do this show on Wednesdays, usually at 6 o'clock, unless it's a panel show, which I love those shows, but I'll let you know it's a panel show because we do it a little late to make sure everybody get home and are able to join. Please hit the notification bell and subscribe. We're still growing slowly but surely, but we are. So what I would appreciate, any help and support that you can give. We'll be back next Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Hope you all can join us. I hope you have a great rest of your week, wherever you may be watching, wherever you are in the world. Have a good night. Bye. I guess it's gonna start right.